Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
How's it going?
Oh, I'm swell.
Hey,
How are y'all?
y'all. Yeah, y'all. I like how we both used y'all.
I know, yeah.
Well, good day, good lunch to you. Um, as you notice, we have a few less heads than usual to be talking at you, so we thought we would try something a little bit different this week for the Big Bite and take a bit of a deep dive on something. And it's something that we're still trying to get, our arms and heads around, completely as an agency, and that's, e-commerce. So, as myself and some of the rest of the e-commerce team, like Greg and Elaine and Jeff Gable, have kind of all been working to start sorting out, where are we at, from an agency perspective. There's a lot to consume and a lot to think about, and there's different approaches to e-commerce. But the thing that we want to focus a little bit on today is elevating the customer experience in e-commerce. So we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive, kind of a more focused share. And walk through this, but it's certainly a conversation, not a presentation. So we'll try to keep eyes on the chat. The rest of the gang, besides rapping, are also going to be chiming in as we go through it. It seems like rap is a hot thing of the day. I wish we'd had a rap prepared. Anyhow, is this up, Rob? The share?
It is now, sir.
Okay, cool. So let's jump right in. So again, high level, what we're talking about is elevating customer experience in e-commerce. And the thing specifically that we wanted to just dive into a little bit today is multi-channel versus omni-channel approach. And what's the difference, right? So we're going to use, an example, the same example throughout, just to make it easier. But from a high level, multi-channel is a hub and spoke model, right? It's really got the product as the core focus, and all the other channels, a user has to kind of go figure out per channel what it is they can get from that channel, and where those channels will redirect them back to a different channel. Whereas an omni-channel approach is really what we talk a lot about in the digital experience crew, which is being human centric or focused on an individual and a user or an individual person. And that's really making sure that all the conversion opportunities can happen really anywhere at any time, but all the marketing activities are really based on user action versus kind of a set predefined path. So there's a lot of automation, a lot of other stuff that goes into it, but we'll break it down a little bit by putting them into practice. And we're going to use Lisa mattress as an example. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Lisa mattress, but I feel like it's been talked about before. So it seemed like a logical example to use. So with a multi-channel approach, again, being product focused, not customer focused, the channels are a little bit more siloed. Users can bounce between channels, but they have to sort of figure it out on their own as far as what's going to give them the best deal or the best experience. And let's take a look at how that might happen. So first channel that a lot of us might think about is the website. So you go to lisa.com, and of course, what we all love, if you're a first time visitor without an existing account and you're not logged in, you'll get presented with actually multiple overlays if you go to the lisa.com site. First, which is a great customer experience, right? First, you get this welcome message, get $100 off, shop now, or you can say no thanks, take me to the site. So once you do that and you're in, let's say you start, looking around, you decide, okay, well, maybe I am interested in this mattress. Maybe I'll add it to my cart. But then I abandon, right? Maybe I decide now's not the right time for me specifically to be buying this. So, have no fear. You'll get a pop-up before you bounce out. So let's say for argument's sake, you fill this out because you say, okay, I'm interested enough in the brand, but don't want to make my purchase right now. So I'm going to go ahead and opt myself in, which is, as we know, a dangerous place to be. So once you opt in, you're going to get an email, right? So they're going to say, hey, we know that you abandoned your cart. Let's give you $100 promo discount to finish buying that mattress. And if you actually go ahead and you actually click that finish shopping button in the email, it'll actually jump you right back to the cart that you had, and it'll even show you, hey, here's the $100 discount that we promised you. So, that seems pretty good, right? So there's nothing really wrong with this yet, right? Nothing yet. So multi-channel works well when well orchestrated and really thoughtfully put together, but you have to know where all the pieces are going to converge. So it feels integrated, but now we're going to get into where a multi-channel approach might start to break down a little bit. So if you think about a marketplace like Amazon, right? So you just go, you know what? Maybe I can get the Lisa mattress cheaper on Amazon. It's like a reflex reaction we all have. So you go and you see, oh, okay, so it's $865 with the Prime discount, but that's a few dollars more than the $100 off coupon was offering me on the website. So it's like $25 more, something like that. It just feels a little detached. And you go, okay, so I guess to get the best deal, I need to go back to the site to purchase instead of Amazon. But you're not in the mindset, so maybe you're just browsing Facebook, and you might start getting an ad like this because they're retargeting and they're kind of doing the logical marketing play, and so maybe they're making an assumption here, right? That maybe the reason you abandoned your cart is because it was just still a little bit too expensive. You haven't done anything to indicate that it was too expensive. That's just a guess based on their kind of predefined marketing loop. So they're going to start offering you the financing option. Well, maybe financing wasn't really the thing that you were worried about. But if you were still to actually engage with this, it would actually hop you out and take you back to the site and the financing page, which doesn't really seem like what you were looking for in your social feed at the time. So maybe you're done on Facebook, you go over to Pinterest, and maybe Lisa knows that you're on there and serves you a buyable pin, but now the mattress is almost $1,000 and there's no $100 discount anywhere. Okay, so the most expensive place is on Pinterest and the cheapest place was on the website. So logically, I would go back to the website. But ultimately, the problem that you can see here that it surfaces pretty immediately is that you have different channels with the same product, but different prices. So from a customer experience and user experience perspective, it just doesn't feel great. So this is kind of the glaring weakness that's immediately apparent. So are there ways to avoid this? Yeah, probably. I'm curious, you guys have some marketing automation expertise. The rest of you guys on this Big Byte hangout, do you think in this multi-channel approach, there could be more thoughtful ways to avoid that kind of stuff?
I think there could be more thoughtful ways, but as a developer, imagining working within all those APIs makes me want to vomit a little bit. So it's tough. It's tough to say. I mean, yeah, I can't imagine having to try to figure all this out and make sure that $100 discount travels across all of these different properties. But that would definitely be the best customer experience possible.
Right.
Yeah, this is where you'd get sort of hacky and just say, okay, well, we have to make sure that all of our discounts across all of our separated channels are equal to the same amount. And there's just someone that's manually trying to keep track of, all right, if we're offering a $100 off coupon through email and text, we have to make sure that the Amazon Prime discount is also $100 just to make sure that they'll match up. But there's essentially no automation. It's just probably some, marketing intern with a spreadsheet, frantically trying to make it match. And of course it works when it's just you're trying to match Amazon with an email coupon. But as soon as you try to start to add in store or, multiple coupons and multiple situations, there's no way to really tie that back to a user without, getting into a real headache.
Right. So you're right. I mean, totally. The way to avoid these types of pitfalls is really manual. And that takes a lot of work, a lot of horsepower, a lot of resource, energy. So you can see where there's pitfalls with multi-channel, right? So basically what Jake was just saying, there's a lot of oversight and maintenance, which ultimately, results in time and money to the client or if it's an internal job. So can you guys think is this similar to a buying experience you've had? Have you guys dealt with stuff like this where I know when I'm looking at AV or computer gear or 3D printing stuff, I'm always comparison shopping. So I'm getting served all sorts of ads. So I know for me, I see this a lot, especially with 3D print stuff, that they're just not lining up. So I have to go shop with the same brand to find where I can find the best deal for the same thing, but on which platform.
Absolutely. I do that with everything, and it's very frustrating. And as soon as you think that you found the thing that is the best deal, you're like served an ad that's just like a slightly better deal. Something weird happens and you realize you didn't make the right decision.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly. So have you guys had better buying experiences?
No, I mean, I definitely see it a lot with the AV gear, like you said, like between Musician's Friend or Sweetwater and stuff like that. Like they're kings at getting the price that you had browsed for something and then resurfacing that price in an ad on, various other sites or devices or whatnot. So
Okay, so with like some of your music stuff, you had an easier time finding that best price and having it easily kind of surfaced for you.
yeah, let's just say they're pretty pesky. They're pretty sticky in terms of like following you across. And I'm curious to see how, with the third-party cookie removal by the end of the year,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how they'll be able to track you across sites. You want to hear my cat?
Yeah.
Hi, Bean.
Totally. Hi, Bean. Rob Kotkamp asked a question: how common is an experience like this? Because this is considered one of the more established DTC brands online. True, it is, and it's pretty common. So this is, while it was at one point a sophisticated marketing approach, it is quickly becoming an outdated marketing approach. Tons of brands still do multi-channel, and that's not to say there's anything inherently wrong with it. It's just not the best customer and user experience, and it doesn't lead to, if you were considering like an NPS, net promoter perspective, there wouldn't be high brand allegiance or brand advocacy necessarily when you have interactions like this. So let's take this same brand, Lisa, and let's talk about if it was multi-channel, right? Omnichannel. So the omni-channel approach, again, putting customers first, it's interwoven. Users can take action from any channel without switching contexts unless they choose to. And ultimately, with an omni-channel strategy, customer behavior truly does dictate the tactics that are used next, and even the communications that are used. So each interaction alters the experience, essentially. So the brand's behavior, it's not random at all. It's actually aligned with whatever you're doing as a user, whatever you're doing as a customer, and your behavior within any of their channels. So let's see how. Okay, so similar construct, right? You visit the site, you add a mattress, but you abandon the cart. Like before, you do get an email with a promotion for $100 off, and then you ignore it. With Omnichannel, you're now going to be highly targeted with that same $100 off coupon across all the other platforms, and that's something that is going to keep it consistent for you. But equally as important, you're getting different types of content too. Obviously, you're getting maybe pre-roll video ads. So let's say you don't engage with these email offers or pre-roll ads or carousel ads. And you don't engage with these for like over a week, but you do engage with some other brands or ads, maybe about social responsibility or being eco-friendly. So Lisa switches its approach now to be contextually relevant to the type of things that you are engaging with. So they say, okay, so let's serve you content and ads now that are focused on our giving back content, because we have this kind of heart and soul of Lisa approach that's 110, one earth, one community, and they're kind of all in on this approach. So then they'll start rolling pre-roll for you about how they're donating mattresses to nonprofit groups, right? And they're really starting to hit you in that spot that you have some affinity for. So this time the bait works, right? And you engage with Lisa. Perhaps now you go, you know what? Maybe I want a king instead of a queen. So you've gone that far, but maybe you don't actually still make the purchase. But with Omnichannel, the offer is updated. So if you have that king in your cart now, obviously they're going to stop serving you the queen mattress ads. They're going to serve you a king mattress ad, and they're going to up the offer to be $150 off instead. And again, you're getting this content reserved to you because you chose, to opt into the king instead. So you maybe filled out a little bit more info and you're just still not ready to buy. Well, Lisa thought of that. And because you filled out just a little bit more info in that checkout process, they know, hey, you're in New York, or you're in New York City for this example. You're close to one of their stores. Okay, so now they're going to take a different tactic, an offline tactic, and they're going to send you a new touch with this physical mailer that's really beautiful and really kind of gives you this Lisa Dream Gallery experience and invites you to come test drive or test lay, however you call it, the mattress. And that's something that you can't really replace with an online experience, what a mattress feels like. So they're trying to get you in. So you finally got you buy the king, you go home happy, and you're sleeping in and you're just loving life. So you would think that's the end, but really, meanwhile, in the background, Lisa's smart stack is working to keep you in the loop, and they're predicting your next purchase based on your behavior and analytic data. So by the time you get home from purchasing that, you've already got a thank you email. And then a week later, you get an email asking for a review on the experience. But in predictable fashion, you ignore both emails because, you have the mattress and it's just not as important to you anymore. So totally valid, and they understand that you're going to do that because you've made the purchase. But undeterred, Lisa is going to follow up in a different channel. They're going to follow up via Facebook Messenger asking for you to review while you're already captive on social. Okay, well, I can leave the review on Facebook in Facebook Messenger. I don't have to switch contacts. And maybe there's some sort of offer or redemption, right? So there's an incentive tied to it. So at this point, okay, why not? I'll give them a little bit of social proof that they can then use to remarket to other people saying, hey, Jake really loved his Lisa mattress, So are we done now? No, of course not. Because we have a smart omni-channel approach, they're now going to offer you to take part in a refer a friend program because you're an advocate that left a review. And in the background, again, Lisa's switching out the mattress ads that you had, and they're saying, well, we aren't going to keep serving Jake, mattress ads because he bought the mattress. So now we're going to start serving Jake the blanket ads. So over time, of course, they're not just going to immediately hit you with them. They're going to stagger them out as to not overwhelm you. But surprise, surprise, you buy 3 blankets, and then Lisa knows you couldn't possibly need 3 blankets for one bed. So now they're going to start reserving you mattress ads and emails based on the size blankets you bought. So maybe you click through, but you don't buy yet. Instead, you actually choose to go look at the financing page. Okay, well, now with an omni-channel approach versus the multi-channel where they just served you up a financing ad as a guess as to why you abandoned, now they actually base it on your behavior. You went to a financing page, now we'll hit you with a financing offer because we know that you made that choice. So we're going to serve you the content that's going to be most relevant and contextual to you. And then the whole system just continues. So what once began now has basically no ending, and really you're just continually getting content based on your actions and decisions. So ultimately, you can see, this is, again, at a very high level, kind of the delineation between a multi-channel product-focused approach and kind of a linear plan that was predefined versus an omni-channel approach that's more fluid and kind of responsive and reactive based on you as a user. So is one right or wrong? Which is better? It ultimately depends on the brand's vision and focus, but of course, I think most people would advocate for an omni-channel approach because it's just more refined and more nuanced. But I'm sure we can all imagine, where the trade-offs are with that as far as time, investment, resource energy, smart tools. So, Shane. So there's certainly, there's certainly a lot of value that you can see. Hi, Shane. There's certainly a lot of value that you can see in this. So that's kind of it at a high level. I figured I'd leave a couple minutes so we could just kind of chew on it and see, what everyone's kind of reaction, or if this was helpful at all, or if there was any, light bulb moments for people. But again, omni-channel versus multi-channel, both still ways to get stuff done. Just one's, more nuanced.
That was a great overview. It kind of brings to light the importance of like automation in this whole architecture, just so that you don't get overwhelmed, right? There's a lot of stuff going on, and you have to be able to write a set of rules that can respond for you instead of, the intern with the spreadsheet, like replying based on whatever their boss said. So definitely a pretty big barrier to entry in terms of like, time and resources in setting all of this up, but the ROI is very high. And I think, Jake, you were talking about a headless architecture for e-commerce like last week or 2 weeks ago, and how important that is for, an omni-channel approach, just due to the fact that you don't necessarily know or have control over where your consumers are or where, like, what site they're seeing your product on. So the ability to pivot and then place e-commerce on wherever, they're finding you that's headless architecture to a T, right? Like the portability of your e-commerce website.
Yeah. Rob's got a question in the chat. How hard is it for a brand to jump to Omni if their setup is multi? I think obviously it depends on what their current setup is, how big they are, like what they have going for them. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a switch overnight. Like what eventually becomes the omni-channel thing could be one of the channels in multi-channel as you start to add more and more. So maybe now you're set up to, the first thing you do is make sure that your website and Amazon are in sync, right? And then maybe you expand that to your in-store SMS notifications, and then you expand that to your email campaign, and just sort of, slowly start to chip away at each of your different strategies, feeding from the same data source and being in sync with each other. And then eventually it's all moved over. Obviously it's not as simple as just like, just move one over after the other, but
it's doable.
You can also do it the other way as well, depending on the brand and what they're looking to do. But yeah, it certainly is doable.
But it is an investment, and I think what this underscores is that I would agree, Rob. It does seem like a no-brainer that omnichannel is the place that brands should be. But at the same time, it's an investment. It's a dimmer switch, not a light switch, as far as making that transition. That takes a client who understands the value of being customer first instead of product first. It also takes a really smart, strong team, both internally and externally, depending on how you're getting the work done. To keep evolving, because it's not a set it and forget it. There's always going to be new channels, new platforms to buy through, new ways to serve ads, and all of those things are going to have to be thoughtfully integrated into that marketing loop. And to be clear, omnichannel nor multi-channel mean you have to be in every single platform or social space. It means the ones you choose to be in are interconnected seamlessly. So maybe you decide Twitter has zero value to us as a brand, and that's just a place that you just do not stand up a silo because you can't connect the loops enough. So it's really about whatever platforms you are serving on being as thoughtfully connected as you can.
Well said. I mean, it's kind of all about knowing your consumer and where they spend their time, and being able to kind of collect that data, right, and then use that data to inform your marketing, decisions.
Totally.
And even like where they are in the life cycle, and like inform your messaging and stuff like that, and personalization, so that they know that that you care about them and where they are in their product life cycle. Yeah. Product life cycle? That's not what I'm trying to say.
Customer journey?
Sure. Yeah.
Path to purchase? Sure. Well, that was our first deep dive. Hopefully it was valuable. Hopefully it was successful in some way, shape, or form. Yes, you do need to check out Lisa Blankets and Mattresses as well. But ultimately, this is a little bit of a test for us to see if doing a deep dive on occasion makes sense. Maybe, if anyone's interested from other teams or departments, would love to have guests kind of, spotlight and jump in. At some point, we should definitely do one of these, a deeper dive, the way Midweek Mark Media Team has done for Cookieless Future. Would love to have a whole nother, deeper conversation about what that means in a real practical way as far as how we execute and implement work. But it is almost 1 o'clock, so I'm sure you guys have meetings to go to or lunch to finish.
Points.
Good stuff.
Awesome.
There you go. Thanks for tuning in.
Names. Yeah.
Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. See you all.
Adieu, folks.
Bye, everyone.
Adieu.